Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's guest is Weston Zimmerman, and he's the co-founder and CEO over at Synced Up. Weston, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me on, Adam. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Weston, so at Mission Matters, one thing that we're super passionate about is about missions, about helping others find their missions, and about inspiring others to find their mission as well. Synced Up and also being an entrepreneur. Talk to me a little bit more about this and really your mission behind it.
Well, as probably most things in life, it has evolved. And the way I got started in the Synced Up thing was literally I was working for a landscape company as an employee, and I just happened to be kind of the techiest guy on the team. And I always loved to look at a particular problem or a particular workflow kink and imagine a better outcome or a better solution to drive a better outcome. And that thing led me down the path of, hey, this product isn't working as well as it could. And probably one of the most naive thoughts I ever had was, let's go build our own solution.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what we did.
Wow.
We went off to build our own solution. And so at first, my mission was all about just this relentless, tenacious desire to figure out a better way. But as we actually built it into a product that was like, hey, this is ready to go to market, and we went to market and we started having customers and we started seeing the outcomes it was driving for those customers and how they were using and implementing our product in their business, that mission evolved. And instead of just being like, hey, I want to figure out a smarter way to do a task, it turned into, this product is having an incredible impact on, hardworking business owners. And
isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you're like, wait a minute, this is actually making a difference. This actually matters. It's not just my experiment, and it's actually providing real value and real money, right? Isn't that weird? It's wild to me. I love it. Go ahead.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how something that you enjoy, finding a smarter way to solve a problem, turns into a bigger and broader mission, which is today our mission at Synced Up is to end what we call entrepreneurial poverty for blue-collar contractors and their employees. And the thing to remember is I never owned the landscaping company where I worked at for 15 years. I was only an employee. So I kind of have that, empathy for not just the owner-operators, which they take a lot of risks, they work extremely hard, but also their team. And giving autonomy and good systems and processes for their team to work in.
I want to stick on kind of some of the earlier days here. Now, I know you used the word, I think I'm saying it right, that you were, the most techie of them on the team or in the company, whatever. That being said, have you ever run a tech company or a tech startup or anything like that? I think the answer is no, but I'm just curious. I just kind of there's a lot of people that are listening that have these dreams of creating things, but they maybe don't have the technical background. If you didn't, how did you overcome that?
Well, I kind of jokingly, say I'm nothing but a hillbilly foreman running a crew from a landscaping company in central Pennsylvania and happened to become an accidental founder of a tech company.
Wow.
That's basically the 30-second version. So no tech background, but I always enjoyed technology. My dad had a telecommunications company that he ended up selling actually. But so I was around computers. I was around technology systems, more hardware, though, than software. So, I had that exposure. So I can't say, and that's exactly why I was the techiest person on a crew of landscape workers. But, zero tech background. And that's why I said it was probably the most naive statement I ever made when I said, let's go build this.
Yeah. So now you're in the middle of, and obviously nothing ever goes smooth. When it comes to building, I don't care if you have the background, stuff happens. How'd you overcome those challenges to get to an end product? And I know there was countless hundreds, I'm sure. How'd you overcome? How'd you persevere to get to an end product that you could test and use?
Well, you're absolutely right. When I look back over, we're 4 years into being on the market, 7-8 years into the project as a whole. When I look back, I marvel at the fact that we're just still alive. That in and of itself is a miracle. But, now we've definitely come through a lot of the very significant hurdles that a lot of tech startups never make it through. But, when I look at the early days and like this incessant.
Yeah, like how'd you get through these hurdles? Because that's not easy.
Yeah, it was. Well, when I just stop and reflect on, say, the first 4 years of building this thing, like in my head, not achieving the goal was just, I never even considered it. Like it was not even an option. Like the thought never went through my head, is this worth it? Should we continue? It was always like, this is what we're doing. And like, that is the only outcome. And so I think when you second guess yourself and you're not convinced by a burning vision or a burning desire to, or a passion to solve a particular problem, you're not gonna survive, and that comes from within, not from external circumstance.
Yeah, that's great, and that's good stuff, because I mean, for the entrepreneurs out there, whether it's tech, whether it's whatever it was, like I can't say it the way you did. You said I was a hillbilly running a crew in Pennsylvania, and all of a sudden I founded a tech. I'm like, oh, come on, man, that's amazing. I feel like it also eliminates a lot of excuses for people, like in terms of with the tech's holding back or other things, because there's just so many resources now. Like there's just so many, even going back from like, I believe you said 4 years or X amount of years before that you started this, like so much is changing so fast that I feel like more people can test their idea. They can test what they're doing. And in your case, the way that this came about was because you were solving a problem for yourself and for the company you were working for.
That's right.
And then you saw that there was a broader market out there that could also benefit, right?
Yeah. And that kind of happened. Like we were becoming more and more active in some networks in our industry, and we won some awards, which kind of put us, like, people in our network kind of knew who we were, and they were,
like you have over a couple.
Yeah, today we're
tremendous growth. I just wanted to continue,
correct.
But I just wanted the audience to understand, like they've grown, like over 2,000 users. No jokes. There was obviously a need. So go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, what happened is we kind of got some street cred or some visibility in our network right as we were beginning this project through totally unrelated circumstances. Like we won some awards and stuff, right? And so people were like, hey, asking questions about your business. How do you guys do this? How do you solve this problem? And through those conversations is where it was like, dude, like this problem we're trying to solve is not unique to us. This is an industry problem. And that's where that vision started becoming bigger than just the widget we were building,
Yeah, that's
because,
a big deal.
I was just going to say, and the thing is like, today, it wasn't financially prudent, let's say, for a little, like just for context, we were only a $2 or $3, $4 million landscape company trying to build a software product. And today I look at that and I'm like, dude, that was Russian roulette if there ever was anything. It's like, the owners of the company dumped in close to $1 million before we were finally kind of, paying our own bills on our own. So that just to give listeners some context about, okay, hillbilly foreman to running a tech company. Well, yes, it did require funds and sacrifice beyond just the idea and sure, I want to do this,
And so where does the company stand today? Like talk to me about the plans for the future, functionality, like get into some of the, like where you're at now.
Sure. Well, I have a diagram that I call the profit triangle, and that fundamentally is the problem that Synced Up solves for contractors. Like, there's two fundamental issues that rob profit or steal profit out of a contractor business, a small owner-operator, type contractor business with, 0 to 30 employees, I'll say. And that is either they're incorrectly pricing their work, like it's a mathematical problem, or they're consistently missing their resources in their estimate. Like they're consistently underestimating how many man hours a job will take, how much material something will take. And so the way I often give the example is you could have a perfect budget on paper and have perfect mathematical pricing, but if you estimate a job will take 100 man hours and it takes you 150, you still lose money. And so you have to solve both of those problems, what I call the math problem and the resources problems, to truly be predictably profitable. And that's what Synced Up does. And how we do it is we have what we call a budget inside of Synced Up, where you tell the software every dollar your business spends, including, repairs and maintenance, fuel, insurance, advertising, every dollar your business, if it spends it, it's got to be in there. And then what it does, it has an algorithm that it calculates exactly mathematically what your labor rates need to be, what your markups need to be to not only cover your direct costs, but also your indirect costs, like your overhead and equipment and that kind of thing. And So now we've solved the mathematical problem, but now we have to make sure that when you're bidding a job for 100 hours, it actually takes 100 hours. So what we do is we track all the resources that go into a job. Like there's a mobile app for clocking in and out and recording labor timesheets for the employees working on the job site. You can record material usage, consumption, subcontractors, equipment, all of that right in the mobile app. And so then there's a live real-time job costing report for every job the contractor does that tells them exactly where they're going over, where they're going under. And the power of that, I'll just give you a before and after kind of example to show where the power comes in. So typically, job costing is something that everybody agrees that you should do. Job costing is the act of comparing estimated versus actual expenses on every job. Everybody agrees you should do it. Very few actually get it done because it often looks like, plugging in data into a spreadsheet or something. And so very few people actually get it done. So, what's after that if you're not getting that done? Well, it's opening up your bank account app and looking to see how much cash is in the checking account. And unfortunately, that's where most contractors, that's what they use as their barometer for success. They open up their bank account, they're like, hey, how are we doing? And if there's plenty of cash in there, they're feeling good. If there's not, they're feeling anxious. And but the problem with that method is, there's many problems. One is it lies to you. There's many reasons that bank account balance could be making you feel anxious or good incorrectly. And then two is, even if it's correct, by the time your bank account shows you a result, that is, and let's say that you open it, you've worked harder than you ever had before. You've done more revenue than you ever had before. You're super proud of your team and what you got done this year. And you're getting to this time of year, it's last day, or it's October 30th as we're recording this. And you get to the end, close to the end of the year, and you look at your bank account, and it's like, man, how on earth is that possible? I've done more revenue than I ever had before, but there's no cash in there. And the reality is we're now months downstream from the source of that problem. And that's the power of job costing, because if you're asking yourself that question in that context, there's nothing more than an educated guess that you can make at that point. But if you have job costing in real time on every job that you're doing, as you're doing it, before the job's even done, whether you're hitting your profit goals or not. And in many cases, like when I was still working on the crew at Tessie Landscaping, in many cases, we'd realize, hey, we're not going to make it here. And we would make logistical moves. We'd bring more team members to the job site so we could get it done faster and free up another production day for the next job on the schedule. That we would do all kinds of things to minimize and mitigate the blow and be strategical. And the quality of our learning increased exponentially. And we got to the place where we went from estimating mistakes repeatedly to only making them a handful of times before we figured out the source of the problem and stopped making that mistake. And hence, you solve the math problem, you solve the resources problem, and you have predictable profits. And you know what's going to happen long before your bank account does.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I know that like your clients, you're in the user base that you're cultivating. And as that continues to grow, when I think about it, it's like, all the bumps you took along the way to build that app and to build that, that software and all of the things, the investors and everything else that poured into that. Now the industry gets the benefit from that. I'm a big fan of when people create things and the entire industry, like in all reality, I mean, there's another version of this where it becomes, this is in-house proprietary software, right? Like there's another version of this and it's only for, that one particular company and they're going to use it and that's going to be their secret sauce, right? That's another version. But when you open this and when you create that type of model to where you're sharing information and helping others succeed, I just feel like it comes back. I can't say how or why or when. Like there's no business way that I can explain that other than just to say, I feel like it comes back to you,
Yeah. Well, that's why I love software as a business, software as a service is SaaS businesses, because the SaaS industry, software industry has essentially allowed the world to have someone with many years of hard-earned experiences solve a problem, systemically come up with, systems and processes that solve a problem effectively, codify that into software, and now it's available to literally anybody with the same demographic profile of like the same problem solution. And now thousands of people can benefit from a small subsample of people that fought that problem for decades of their career and finally got to a solution. And now software can make that available to the brand new person.
Yeah.
Instead of the brand new person having to reinvent the wheel all over again.
Yeah. Well, Weston, I just have to say, man, it's been a lot of fun having you on the show today and learning more about your business and really, how you've gone from and you built this thing. And I mean, a couple thousand active users, that's no joke. And I know it's just going to continue to grow. That being said, if somebody's listening to this and if they want to, follow up, learn more and check it out, how do they do that?
Well, for myself, if you want to follow me in my daily life, I'm most active on Instagram, and our handle is exactly our business name, Synced Up, which is spelled SYNKEDUP. Yep. But if you want to learn more about the product and the more how does this product actually do this, our website's the place to go, syncedup.com.
Fantastic. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put the links into the show notes so that you can just click on them and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way on your as well. So feel free to hit that subscribe or follow button. And Weston, again, thank you so much for coming on. It's really been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Adam. This was an enjoyable conversation. Thank you.